Before we start, I want to say that only 1% of you are subscribed. Please subscribe because when we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will post a special video for you. John eased his spacecraft into the docking bay of the Interstellar Space Station, a sprawling complex that served as a crossroads for species and travelers from all corners of the galaxy. The station buzzed with activity, a testament to the thriving exchange of cultures and technologies among dozens of alien civilizations. As the airlock sealed with a soft hiss, John gathered his belongings and prepared to step into this new world. Stepping into the bustling terminal, John couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. The air was filled with a cacophony of alien languages and the scent of unfamiliar spices and ozone. He navigated through the crowd, his eyes wide with the novelty of his surroundings. He was soon joined by Liam, a fellow human and seasoned diplomat stationed here to assist John with his transition. Liam clapped him on the back with a grin. "Welcome to the edge of known space, John. It's quite the melting pot, isn't it?" Liam said, guiding him through the throng of diverse beings. "It's incredible," John replied, his gaze darting around. "I've never seen anything like it." They made their way to a small cafe nestled between a shop selling shimmering alien textiles and a kiosk with gadgets blinking in syncopated rhythms. As they sat down, a creature with iridescent skin and multiple eyes slid a couple of steaming beverages towards them. "Try this," Liam suggested, pushing a cup toward John. "It's a local favorite here. Keeps your energy up." John took a cautious sip, finding the drink pleasantly tangy with a hint of sweetness. As they discussed the station's layout and John's duties, a voice interrupted them. "I couldn't help but overhear, 'You're new here?'" The voice belonged to Mira, her eyes bright with curiosity. She introduced herself in fluid, accented English, her tone friendly and inviting. "Yes, just arrived," John replied, offering a handshake that Mira observed curiously before mimicking the gesture. "I'm Mira, from Oceania 9, water planet, lots of islands," she explained with a flourish of her hand. "What brings you to our star-crossed station?" John smiled at the description. "I'm an engineer, here to work on the terraforming project on Rigel 7th. "Ah, terraforming. Transforming dead worlds into livable habitats. How noble," Mira said, her tone respectful. "Oceania 9 was terraformed 2 centuries ago. Perhaps your work will help others as ours helped us." Their conversation deepened, with Mira inquiring about Earth and human customs. John learned about Mira's aquatic heritage, fascinated by her descriptions of underwater cities glimmering like jewels beneath the waves. As the station's artificial night began to fall, lights twinkling on in the vast ceiling above them, Liam excused himself, leaving John and Mira to delve deeper into their cultural exchange. "Would you like to see more of the station? There's a viewing deck not far from here. Best spot to watch the galaxy turn," Mira offered, her tone both an invitation and a promise of more wonders to come. "That sounds amazing," John agreed, his earlier apprehension replaced by a budding enthusiasm for the new connections his unexpected assignment was already fostering. Together they walked towards the viewing deck, the station's corridors lined with view screens displaying star charts and news from 100 worlds. John listened intently as Mira shared tales of her planet's festivals and traditions, his own stories of Earth weaving through hers, threads of human and alien experience intertwining. As John and Mira approached the viewing deck, the corridor widened into a vast open space, bordered by enormous panes of glass, or perhaps some tougher, transparent alien material that offered a stunning vista of the cosmos. Stars sparkled against the void, their light piercing the darkness like scattered jewels on black velvet. Mira pointed towards a distant speck glowing softly against the inky backdrop. "That's Oceania 9. It looks so serene from up here, doesn't it?" she mused, her voice tinged with a homesick lilt. "It's beautiful," John agreed, his gaze following her outstretched finger. He turned to her with a smile. "And so different from Earth. But I suppose that's the point of being here, isn't it? To see things we'd never otherwise get the chance to. Mira nodded, her eyes reflecting the starlight. Exactly. And speaking of seeing new things, have you met Zach yet? He's another human, been here longer than most. He knows this station inside and out. Before John could answer, a voice boomed from behind them. Speaking of the devil, and he shall appear. A tall man with a rugged beard and a bright grin strode towards them, hand extended. You must be John. Liam mentioned we had a newcomer. I'm Zach. John shook his hand, finding his grip firm and friendly. Good to meet you, Zach. Mira was just suggesting I should get to know you. Smart woman, Zach chuckled, clapping Mira on the shoulder gently. What better way to learn the ropes than from someone who almost hung himself with them a few times? Mira laughed, and John found himself chuckling along, the initial awkwardness fading. So what should I be watching out for? John asked, eager to learn from Zach's experiences. Well, first off, watch where you eat. Some of these alien cuisines are not for the faint of heart or stomach, Zach said, a mischievous twinkle in his eye. But more seriously, it's the politics you want to be wary of. Lots of different species means lots of different agendas. As they spoke, the trio began a leisurely walk along the deck, the station's diverse population ebbing and flowing around them. Aliens of every conceivable shape and size mingled, some bartering, others simply enjoying the view like they were. Zach guided them through the social intricacies of the station, pointing out representatives of different species and offering anecdotes of past interactions, both humorous and tense. John listened intently, soaking up the knowledge that would help him navigate this complex interstellar society. The key is respect, Zach concluded as they stopped to watch a particularly vibrant nebula slowly drift by. Show it, earn it, and don't assume it. Do that, and you'll manage just fine here. John nodded, his mind racing with the possibilities and potential pitfalls that lay ahead. He was about to ask another question when Mira tugged at his sleeve, her expression eager. Come on, you have to try the gravity ball game in the rec sector. It's like nothing you've got on Earth. Zach laughed. Go on, I'll catch up with you guys later. You don't want to miss this. With a grateful nod to Zach, John allowed Mira to lead him away, her enthusiasm infectious. As they left, John felt a renewed sense of purpose. This assignment wasn't just about work. It was about connections, learning and living in a galaxy teeming with life and perspectives so alien from his own, and he was ready to dive in. John followed Mira through a series of bustling corridors, each turn revealing new wonders. The recreational sector was a hub of activity, filled with beings engaged in various forms of entertainment, from holographic games to zero-gravity sports. Here we are, Mira announced as they approached a large arena where spectators floated around a glowing sphere suspended in the center. Gravity ball, it's a favorite here. Teams from different species play it. Think of it as basketball meets dodgeball, but in zero-G. John watched, fascinated, as players propelled themselves through the air, their movements graceful and fluid. The crowd cheered, a cacophony of alien sounds harmonizing into an infectious excitement. You up for a game? Mira asked with a mischievous grin. Don't worry, I'll go easy on you. Before John could respond, a voice called out from behind. If you're playing, count me in. Zach appeared beside them, already dressed in athletic gear. Great! Mira clapped her hands. Let's form a team. John, you're with me. Zach, you can show us how it's done. The trio signed up for the next game, and while they waited, Zach gave John a quick rundown of the rules and techniques. The key is to use your momentum, push off hard, aim your passes, and watch out for interceptions. When their turn came, John felt a rush of adrenaline as he launched himself into the arena. The sensation of weightlessness was disorienting at first, but with Mira's guidance and Zach's expert passes, he quickly got the hang of it. The game was fast-paced and exhilarating. John managed to score a goal, earning a cheer from Mira and a nod of approval from Zach. Despite their initial struggles, their team won, thanks largely to Mira's agile maneuvers and Zach's strategic thinking. After the match, the three of them floated to the side to catch their breath. "Not bad for your first time," Zach chuckled, handing John a towel. "Thanks to you guys," John said, still panting. "I haven't had this much fun well, ever." "It's a good break from the work routine," Mira agreed. "But it's also a great way to build relationships. Sports bring everyone together here, no matter where you're from." The conversation shifted from sports to their daily lives on the station. Zach shared stories of his work in diplomatic relations, and Mira spoke about her research in marine biology, particularly how it applied to the terraforming projects. John listened intently, intrigued by the integration of different scientific fields and the collaborative efforts aboard the station. "It seems like there's a lot of crossover in the work we do," he noted. "Absolutely," Mira responded. "The diversity here isn't just cultural, it's intellectual. We find solutions faster because we approach problems from so many angles." As they talked, John felt a growing sense of belonging. The initial overwhelm had given way to a deep fascination with the station's operations and the myriad opportunities for personal and professional growth. "Speaking of which," Zach interjected, "we should head to the science wing tomorrow. They're unveiling a new tech that could revolutionize energy consumption across the station. It might give you some ideas for your project, John." "Sounds perfect," John agreed, eager to learn more. "And maybe after Mira can show us some of her research in action?" "I'd love to," Mira said, her eyes lighting up with enthusiasm. "It's one thing to talk about my work, quite another to see it." As they made their way back to the residential quarters, John's mind buzzed with possibilities. This assignment was more than just a job. It was a gateway to understanding a universe of ideas, all converging here, at the edge of human exploration. And with new friends like Mira and Zach by his side, John was ready to dive deeper into this interstellar melting pot. After a restful night, John met Zach in the communal area for breakfast. The dining hall was alive with chatter and the clatter of utensils, as species from across the galaxy shared meals. Some liquid, some solid, and some that defied easy description. "So how are you settling in?" Zach asked, passing John a tray laden with what looked mostly recognizable as food. "Better than I expected," John admitted, inspecting a muffin-like object. "Thanks to you and Mira. This place is incredible. There's so much to learn, so much to see." "Glad to hear it," Zach grinned. "You'll find that curiosity is your best tool and sometimes your biggest challenge. Keep asking questions, but always with respect. You'll unravel the mysteries of this place bit by bit." As they talked, Mira joined them, her tray a colorful array of aquatic cuisine. "Morning, guys. Ready for a big day at the science wing?" "Just after this intriguing breakfast," John replied, gesturing to his assorted items. The trio chatted amiably through their meal, discussing the schedule for the day. After finishing, they headed toward the science wing, where researchers from multiple planets collaborated on innovative projects. They were greeted by Dr. Hellspin, a towering figure with gentle eyes, who was leading the day's tour. "Welcome. We're excited to show you some of our breakthroughs, especially our work on energy modulation," Dr. Hellspin announced. The lab was a hive of activity. Scientists and engineers of various species worked together, their tools and methods as varied as their physical forms. Dr. Hellspin led them to a station where a delicate array of crystals pulsed with light. These crystals are being tested for their energy output and compatibility with different technologies. "We're close to a breakthrough that could power this station more efficiently than ever before," Dr. Hellspin explained. As the group moved on, Mira leaned over to John. "It's amazing, isn't it? To think that these small crystals could change so much." "It's beyond amazing. It's revolutionary," John responded, his mind racing with the potential applications for his terraforming work. Their tour continued, each project more fascinating than the last. Eventually, they reached a section devoted to environmental adaptation technologies that helped beings from different planets live comfortably on the station. Mira was particularly interested in this area. "It's similar to what we need for Oceania 9, she mused. Adapting environments so various species can coexist isn't just practical. It's vital for peace. As they discussed the technology, an overheard conversation between two alien scientists caught Mira's attention. They were discussing integration techniques for different biological systems, but Mira misinterpreted a crucial detail. Turning to John, her expression confused, she asked, "What do you mean by saying that you'll be inside me?" John, caught off guard, coughed on his water. "I'm sorry, what? I heard them talking about sharing systems and integration. Is that something humans do? Being inside each other?" Mira's tone was purely inquisitive, devoid of any innuendo. Realizing the misunderstanding, John chuckled softly, regaining his composure. "Ah, I see the mix-up. When they talk about integration, they mean the sharing of technology and resources, not literally sharing bodies." "Oh," Mira's cheeks colored slightly, her species equivalent of a blush. "I have a lot to learn about human expressions, it seems. It's a common mistake. Human language can be pretty idiomatic. But to answer your question in human terms, being inside someone usually refers to a more intimate kind of relationship. It's physical, emotional, more personal." "Like a bond?" Mira asked, trying to connect it to a concept within her own cultural understanding. "Exactly," John nodded, pleased with her quick grasp of the concept. "It's about closeness and trust. It's a significant part of human relationships, often expressing love or deep affection." Mira mulled over this new information, her gaze thoughtful. "Thank you for explaining. I appreciate understanding more about humans." As they continued the tour, John reflected on the complexity of intercultural communication. Each conversation was an opportunity to bridge universes of difference, creating connections in this vast cosmic melting pot. The tour of the science wing had sparked countless questions between John and Mira as they walked back to the communal areas of the station. The topic of human relationships, however, seemed to linger in the air between them. "You know," John started, breaking the comfortable silence, "if you have any more questions about, anything human-related, feel free to ask. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? Exchange of ideas and cultures?" Mira nodded, her interest evident. "Yes, I would like that. Your explanation earlier was helpful, but I find human emotions and relationships particularly complex." "Tell me about it," John chuckled. "We humans often find our own emotions baffling." They decided to grab a drink at a nearby lounge, a spot popular among the station's residents for its relaxed atmosphere and a wide selection of beverages catering to various species. As they settled into a quiet corner with their drinks, Mira continued the conversation. "So this intimacy and bonding you mentioned," she began, her tone earnest, "is it common for humans to form these bonds quickly, or does it take time?" "It varies," John explained, stirring his drink. "Some people connect instantly, a kind of chemistry that's hard to explain. Others take time to grow close. It's all about the personal feelings and experiences of the individuals involved." Mira seemed to ponder this for a moment. "And these relationships, do they often result in a permanent bond, or can they be fleeting?" "That's another thing that varies," John said. "Some relationships last a lifetime, others might only last a short while. Humans value both types for different reasons. The key thing is the mutual respect and consent in any relationship." Their drinks arrived, served by a robotic attendant that moved silently between tables. Mira took a tentative sip of her drink, her face lighting up with surprise and pleasure. "This is delicious," she exclaimed. "It's sweet but has a depth to it." "Glad you like it," John smiled. It's a favorite among humans, too. As they sipped their drinks, their conversation drifted from personal relationships to their professional lives. John shared more about his experiences with terraforming projects, while Mira spoke passionately about her research in marine biology. I find the ecosystems of aquatic planets fascinating, Mira explained. The biodiversity is incredible, and understanding it can help us better manage our own planet's resources. John listened intently, impressed by her knowledge and enthusiasm. It sounds like there's a lot of overlap between our fields. Terraforming often has to take existing ecosystems into account to be successful. Yes, exactly, Mira agreed. Perhaps there's potential for collaboration in our future projects. Your terraforming expertise and my ecological studies could complement each other well. The idea of working together brought a new level of excitement to the conversation. They discussed potential joint projects, sketching out rough ideas on napkins as they talked. As the evening wore on, the lounge began to empty, the bustle of the station winding down for the night cycle. John and Mira were so engrossed in their discussion that they hardly noticed the time passing. "Look at us, closing the place down," John observed, glancing around the nearly empty lounge. Mira laughed, a light musical sound. "I haven't had such an engaging conversation in ages. Thank you, John, for sharing so much with me." "It's been my pleasure, Mira," John replied, genuinely pleased. "I'm looking forward to all the things we might discover together." As they left the lounge, there was a sense of camaraderie between them. A bond formed not just from shared interests, but from the exchange of deeper, more personal insights, a testament to the power of open and respectful communication. The following morning, John and Mira met at the communal gardens, a serene area designed to mimic the peaceful landscapes of various home worlds. It was here that many station residents came to reflect or simply enjoy a slice of nature, away from the technological bustle. John found Mira sitting by a water feature that resembled a small Earth-like pond, complete with lily pads and the gentle sound of trickling water. "Good morning, Mira," John greeted, taking a seat beside her on a bench molded from a smooth stone-like material. "Morning, John," Mira smiled, her eyes reflecting the calm waters. "I was just thinking about our conversation last night. It's intriguing how much depth there is to human relationships." "It is," John agreed, "and it's not just limited to romantic ones. Friendships, family ties, professional partnerships, they all have their complexities." Mira nodded thoughtfully. "In my culture, we also have various forms of bonds, though perhaps we don't dissect them as much. It's more about the collective well-being. But I'm starting to appreciate the individual approach humans take. I think that's what makes cross-cultural exchanges like ours so valuable," John said. "We get to see another perspective that might help us understand our own better." Their conversation drifted to more personal topics, each sharing stories from their respective cultures. As they talked, John noticed Mira seemed particularly interested in the concept of dating, a human social custom not common in her aquatic society. "So, in human dating, you often go to places together, just the two of you, to understand each other better?" Mira asked, her tone curious. "Exactly," John replied. "It's about spending time together, sharing experiences, and seeing if there's a deeper connection worth exploring." Mira was silent for a moment, then looked up at John with a hesitant but sincere expression. "Would it be too forward of me to ask what a human date with you would be like?" John felt a surge of warmth at her question. Her directness was refreshing, and he appreciated her genuine curiosity. "Not forward at all, Mira. I'd be honored to show you. But only if you're comfortable with it. It's important to me that you feel it's something you want to experience, not just an experiment." Mira's face lit up with a smile. "I would like that very much. I want to experience it not just to learn, but because I enjoy your company." "Then it's a date," John grinned. "How about tonight? We could have dinner at the Orbital Restaurant. It has a view of the stars that's hard to beat." "That sounds wonderful," Mira agreed, her enthusiasm evident. The rest of the day passed in a blur of anticipation for John. He found himself looking forward to the evening not just as a cultural exchange, but as a chance to connect with Mira on a new level. As evening approached, they met outside the restaurant. Mira had chosen an outfit that shimmered softly, reflecting the starlight, while John had opted for a simple but smart ensemble. The dinner was filled with laughter and engaging conversation. They shared dishes from both their cultures, each explaining the significance and preparation methods. As they ate, John took the opportunity to explain more about human emotions and physical expressions of affection. Consent is key in any human relationship, he explained. It's about respecting each other's feelings and boundaries. Mira listened intently, nodding. That's similar to how we view interactions in my culture. It's about mutual respect. After dinner, they walked along the viewing deck, watching the cosmos stretch out before them. Mira took John's hand, a gesture of trust and connection. "This has been a beautiful experience, John," she said softly. "Thank you for sharing this part of your life with me." "It's been my pleasure, Mira," John replied, squeezing her hand gently. "I'm glad we could share this together." As they stood together, the vast universe around them seemed a little less daunting, a reminder of the beauty of connection, no matter the distance or differences. The soft hum of the station's night cycle created a tranquil backdrop as John and Mira made their way from the restaurant to John's residential quarters. The evening had unfolded beautifully, with each moment bringing them closer in understanding and comfort. As they entered John's quarters, Mira looked around with an expression of curiosity and admiration. The room was modest but well-appointed, with personal touches that spoke of Earth and John's life there. "I've never been in a human's living space before," Mira commented, her gaze lingering on a set of photographs depicting lush green landscapes and ocean views. John followed her gaze, smiling. "Those are pictures of my home-well, Earth, generally. It's a lot different from here or Oceania 9. "It looks beautiful," Mira said. She turned to John, her eyes seeking permission. "May I?" "Of course," John responded, understanding her unspoken question. He wanted to share more of his world with her, both metaphorically and literally. Mira took a few steps closer, then hesitated, looking back at John. "Is this all right?" she asked, her voice a mixture of excitement and caution. John nodded encouragingly. "Yes, it's more than all right." Encouraged by his response, Mira closed the distance between them, her movements graceful and deliberate. When she was just a breath away, she reached out her hand, tentatively touching John's arm. The contact was light, but it sent a wave of warmth through John's body. "This is how humans share affection?" Mira asked softly, her hand moving slowly from his arm to his shoulder as she explored the unfamiliar territory of human touch. "It's one way," John replied, his voice equally soft. "Touch can convey a lot of feelings, comfort, care, affection." Encouraged by his openness, Mira continued her gentle exploration, her touches growing more confident. John reciprocated, his hands tracing the contours of her arms, learning the texture and feel of her skin, which was unlike anything he had ever experienced. As they stood there, exploring the tactile language of each other's worlds, the space between them filled with a new, unspoken understanding. Mira looked up into John's eyes, her own filled with a mix of wonder and gratitude. "Thank you for showing me this," she whispered. John smiled, his hands settling on her waist. "Thank you for trusting me, for being here." Their mutual gratitude hung in the air, a silent acknowledgement of the bridge they were building between their cultures. In a moment of mutual consent, John leaned down, and Mira tilted her head up, their lips meeting in a gentle, exploratory kiss. The kiss deepened gradually, fueled by the emotions that had been simmering throughout the evening. After a moment, they parted slightly, their foreheads resting against each other. Mira's breath was warm on John's face, and he felt a profound connection to her, one that transcended the physical space they occupied. "This feels right," Mira murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "It does," John agreed, his heart beating a steady, reassuring rhythm. They spent the rest of the evening talking, kissing, and exploring their newfound intimacy. Each touch and each word deepened their connection, weaving a tapestry of affection and understanding that neither had anticipated but both welcomed eagerly. As the night turned to the early hours of the morning, they lay together, a tangle of limbs and soft sheets, watching the artificial stars twinkle through the window of John's quarters. The cosmos outside seemed less vast, less intimidating, wrapped in the warmth of their shared experience. In that quiet, intimate space, they found not only a profound connection but also a shared curiosity and excitement for all the discoveries, both personal and professional, that lay ahead. As the artificial dawn began to light up the sky outside the panoramic window of John's quarters, he and Mira lay intertwined, a quiet contentment filling the space between them. The night had deepened their understanding of each other, both physically and emotionally, creating a bond that felt as vast as the universe outside. John stirred slightly, his arm tightening around Mira, who was nestled against him. She looked up, her eyes reflecting the soft light that was beginning to fill the room. "Did you sleep?" John asked softly, his voice rough with sleep. "A little," Mira replied with a serene smile. "I was too caught up in the feeling of this, of us." John chuckled lightly, kissing the top of her head. "I know what you mean. It's a lot to take in." As they lay in silence, watching the light grow brighter, John thought about all the possibilities that lay ahead. This personal connection had opened up new avenues of trust and collaboration, not just between them, but potentially between their respective scientific endeavors. "Mira," John began, hesitating as he formulated his thoughts. "Last night was incredible, and I was thinking, maybe us could be a beginning of something more. Not just for us personally, but professionally too. What do you think?" Mira sat up slightly, her expression thoughtful. "I was thinking the same. Our fields have so much overlap, and the trust we've built. It could really lead to something groundbreaking." "Exactly," John said, his enthusiasm growing. "We could start by integrating some of your ecological insights with the terraforming projects. Maybe come up with a new model that's more sustainable, more efficient." "I'd like that," Mira nodded. "And I think our teams would be excited about it too. It's not just about the science, it's about how we approach it, collaboratively, respectfully. Just like us." The discussion shifted towards practical steps, planning meetings with their respective teams, and outlining potential research topics. The conversation was filled with excitement and potential, both of them eager to see where this partnership could lead. As they talked, the door chimed softly. John called out a permission to enter, and Zach stepped in, his face breaking into a grin when he saw them. "Morning, you two," he greeted, his tone teasing but warm. "Looks like you had a productive night." John and Mira exchanged a glance, smiling. "You could say that," John replied. "Actually, Zach, we were just talking about a collaboration. Mira's ecological expertise and our terraforming projects. There's a lot of potentials there." "Sounds fantastic," Zach said, genuinely pleased. "I always said good things come from new perspectives. Need any help getting the ball rolling?" "That'd be great," Mira responded. "We were just about to draft a preliminary proposal. Maybe you can give us some feedback before we present it to the higher-ups?" "Count me in," Zach agreed, pulling up a chair. "Let's see what we can come up with together." The three of them spent the morning brainstorming, their ideas taking shape on the screen before them. It was a fusion of their skills and experiences, a true collaboration that held the promise of innovation and advancement. As they worked, the station slowly came to life around them, the hum of activity resuming as another day began. But in John's quarters, a new chapter was being written, not just in their professional lives, but in the personal bonds they had formed. When they finally paused, the proposal looking robust and promising, John looked around at his colleagues, his friends, and felt a profound sense of gratitude. This was what the station was about, bringing together different people, different cultures, to achieve something greater than themselves. And as the stars continued their eternal dance outside the window, John, Mira, and Zach looked out, their hearts and minds alight with possibilities, ready to explore not just the universe, but the new horizons that had opened up between them.